Hello everybody, thanks for joining me. Mark McRae back again with the next video in our Introduction to Modeling in Maya series. And in today's video, we're going to be covering a lot of the basic modeling tools that you'll use day to day through your workflow. I just want to cover, all the little ins and outs just to make sure that you're aware of all the different tools and functions. Some of these will be obvious and things that you've probably already used, unless you're completely brand new to Maya. And hopefully we'll also cover a few extra little things that maybe you don't currently use that you'll find useful. So the first tool and the tool that you will use probably most often in all of your modeling is the Multicut tool. Multicut allows you to do exactly as it says, and that is to cut edges into your mesh by placing vertices. And it just simply connects between the vertices you place to draw edges to those places. So it's a great way to cut out shapes and get exactly the forms you want. It is also very useful for adding in quick edge loops. So we can see if we hover over an edge and if you hold Control, it will allow you to put a loop in an existing quadded out edge loop. And if you hit Shift, you can have it snap in 10-degree increments, and you can adjust that snapping increment. And with Control selected, if you just simply want it snapped exactly to the middle of the loops that you have selected, you click your middle mouse button and you'll get a perfect snap into the center. Next thing we want to look at is Insert Edge Loop. We find that under our mesh tools. We'll just open up the options box for that. So the biggest thing that you'll use this for is when you need to add multiple edge loops in a uniform fashion. You just quickly put in how many edges you need. And of course you can do this with a single loop as well, but most often like I said, you will use this to add multiples. You just simply click on the edge where you want the cuts to go into, and it will put perfectly distanced edges within that spot. So great way to add extra geometry that is needed. It's not a tool that you'll use super often, but very useful when you do need it. Next is the ability to delete edges. The simplest way to delete edges is, of course, just using the delete key. If you hit simply delete, it will delete those edges. But if we go into vertex mode, we'll see that it did leave behind its vertices. Now you could just simply highlight those vertices, hit delete, and it will clear them out for you. But if you grab the edges that you want to get rid of and you do a Control delete, it will get rid of the edges and the floating vertices that would be left behind. Another great tool for your verts is the ability to merge verts. So you can merge multiple vertices together or just single vertices. Now we see when you use the merge verts tool, it has a distance threshold. So it will depend on how far apart you want them. It's a tool that you'll use often when you're trying to put pieces, close together, making sure that you're combining pieces properly, things like that. The merge verts tool will be very useful in a lot of situations. And then we also have another merge to center, which is another type of merge verts that will just simply grab the selected vertices and merge them to the center point of the vertices selected. And then another similar function, but different, is the target weld tool, merges two vertices. But with this one, you're simply dragging one vertice to another. So if you know you have a vertice that you absolutely do not want to move, you can drag other vertices to it. On from there, we also have the Connect Components tool. Connect Components will add edges between selected components. So if I select these four edges, for example, and I hit my Connect Components, it will split the faces. If I say delete these and I grab those and we go to Connect Components, we will see it is going to add in an edge between those components for us. Now you'll notice that it will only work if there is no edge between. So let's go back and do that again. If I grab this vertice and this vertice and I try to hit, it will not function. if I get rid of the edge between the two and I needed to do then a connection there, we get it. Will not work again. So just be very aware of that. Next, we'll look at the bevel tool. Bevel tool has a lot of uses. It's a great way to add in edge loops as well in certain ways and to add extra unique shapes. So if we hit the bevel here, we'll see it puts a quick little inset into our mesh. And if I add extra segments, we'll see it will add a rounded edge or a bevel to that. And then if we hit that again, we hit chamfer, it is a quick, easy way to add supporting loops to an area. The bevel tool is something that's a little tricky and is definitely something that you want to take some time to play with and learn because it is very powerful, but can also be very destructive. What we can see with proper use, it is a great way to manipulate your mesh to get exactly the results and the looks that you want. It is one of the most useful tools in hard surface modeling. You will use it a lot. Just be aware that when you're using it, you will create areas that need to be cleaned up in your mesh to make sure that everything is always in perfect quads. And of course, it's a good idea to actually snap your multi-cut tool in the right area. Next is another tool that you will use very often, and that is the Extrude tool. So the Extrude works when you grab faces, whether individual or multiples, and you can hit the Control E key, hit the toolbar, of course find it in your menus. And when you grab those faces and you hit Control E, you'll get this option box, which will then allow you to control or use the gizmo on how you want this to behave. Now you've also got this, what looks like a power button. It is an option button to tell you how the gizmo will behave in relation to the multiple faces that you select. Currently, it will move as though all faces are behaving the same way that this one will behave. So if we add, oh, we don't need to add divisions to that. If we inset, they will all inset evenly. Now, if we turn off keep faces, we can see that suddenly the faces are separated and they all behave exactly as the one that has the gizmo centered on it. If we add thickness, they will all add thickness together. If we scale in and out, they go together. So very, very strong, powerful tool. Very important to learn how to use it well. Personally, I extrude most of the time by using the shift key. I just grab what I want, hold shift, and pull out. Now, it doesn't always work well for all extrusion options. So you want to be, aware of where it works well and where it doesn't using the shift option. And the only way to know that is to really just practice and go between the options. But extrude, super, super powerful. Great way to get quick manipulations of your mesh and get exactly the look, insets and offsets that you need. Next is extract. Extract will do exactly as it sounds, and it will extract the currently selected faces from their shell. So if we hit that option, we'll see we've created two separate meshes where one has been separated from the other. The faces have been extracted from its mesh. Really, really useful. for hard surface modeling. I'm not going to go into all the exact details on it now, but it's got a lot of power behind it. Let's just back up. If we, for example, let's just grab all these faces. Oh, I need to turn off my camera-based selection option. Let's grab those faces. And if we go into the extract option, you can turn off separate extracted faces and hit apply. And we'll see that it doesn't actually remove them from the object. So you can get very, very different results. Now this is not to be confused with duplicate faces. Duplicate faces has its own use in which you may have something where you want to keep this original shape, but you also want this shape on its own. So we go into Edit Mesh, Duplicate, Separate Duplicated Faces. We'll see maintained the original shape, but also have our extra shape pulled off. So duplicate faces and extract faces, different tools, both equally powerful. And then from there, we have the fill hole and bridge functionalities. So let's just stick a hole in here. Oh, we've got one there. It's accidentally grabbed extra faces. So fill hole, if you just simply select one edge, it will fill the hole in your mesh. Let's do that again with a larger hole. We'll see it just fills the area that is empty connected to that edge. Bridge works differently in that you select two edges that you want to bridge together and you hit bridge and it will put a piece of geometry between those two edges. And then from there you can add divisions. There's a twist option for different types of geometry and bridging that you'll do. Again, that's getting into more advanced stuff. Now, if you simply double click on an empty spot and hit bridge, it will attempt to fill it properly that way. And you can easily mess things up with the bridge tool by bridging across faces, and it will look like it's accurate. It will look like it's right, but if we can see we've got overlapping faces here. So you want to be careful with how you're bridging and make sure that you're getting accurate results. What you'd want to do is get this face. Let's do this again. So let's bridge that. Let's add two divisions so that it equally matches. And then from there, you would once again start to bridge. Now you can also select edges this way and bridge, and it will typically behave properly when you do things this way. Now sometimes, especially with more circularized components, it will add a twist, in which case you want to do the first face-to-face bridge on its own, and then you can complete the rest all in one function, and you'll see better results. Now let's delete these faces again, and once again use that fill hole tool. And that will allow us to show off the next thing we want to look at. Now, of course, this is bad geometry. Oh, we've got a hole there again. Now, if you wanted to quickly get rid of this n-gon, one of the options you can do is to go to Edit Mesh, the face options, and Poke, and it will simply just add a vertice into the center of that n-gon and split edges out to all the vertices along that face. It is not the cleanest method of closing that n-gon, but it does have its uses in certain areas of modeling. So next is the ability to combine and separate meshes. So say we have these two cubes, we hit our combine option. It will create a transform that they've been combined, and then you simply delete history and lock transformation, freeze transformations, and they are now one object with a center pivot. And well, say maybe I didn't want to do that, then you would then also go into mesh and separate, and it will once again create this transform. You can pull them out and hit Shift P to unparent them, and then once again delete history and freeze transformations to get rid of that transform node. Next, we have edit edge flow. I'm just gonna push this out to help show this off. So if we grab an edge within our space, what edit edge flow will do is to attempt to get that edge that it's got a better flow and curvature with the existing geometry. Now, because this is a flat surface, it's a little wonky. This works really great on when you're remeshing or doing retopos, just to make sure you've got nice, evenly spaced edge loops. It is a fantastic way to make sure that everything is nice and clean. You don't want to overuse it because it can screw things up, but it does definitely have a fair amount of power to it. It's something that you'll use very rarely, but you should be aware that it's there and what it does. And the last thing we want to look at is the ability to circularize. So a much nicer way of getting circles put into our mesh is to simply grab the faces that you want circularized, hit the circularize tool, and you'll see voila. You can add divisions to that to get a smoother, cleaner circle. Just be aware that you are adding extra vertices that you will need to make sure you connect and clean up so that you've got proper geometry. But it is a much nicer way to get a circle inset into your mesh. Uh, and then from here, you can start doing whatever it is that you need with that circle. So with that done, we hit smooth, and we see we've got a nice, perfectly circularized extrusion popping out of our little cube. So I hope that this helped, and maybe you learned something a little new. If it did, please hit that like button. And if you want to continue to see more from this series, as we get deeper and deeper into Maya and we get more and more advanced, please hit that subscribe button. I thank everybody for all of the support. It means everything to me to see this channel grow. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day, and thanks for your support.